although our postures are going to be slightly different, there's some, I think, shared qualities that I'd like to encourage, emphasize. That whether we're sitting in a chair, a bench, on the floor, that we establish or use a posture that really is in line with the line of the body. So we don't want to be having our head tilting forward or backwards. We don't want to be leaning forwards or backwards or tilting side to side. Same with the head. So we want to have the body in alignment. So if we're seated, try and imagine in our mind's eye that the ear canal, the center of the shoulder socket, and the center of the hip socket are all in line. If we had a plumb line next to us, which obviously we don't, but try and imagine that those three things, ear, shoulder, and hip socket, are in line. And then, as I said, not tilting sideways. And although the meditation is more about the mind and heart, having a supportive body posture, it really provides the best conditions for a settling of that mind and heart. So it's good to mindfully pay attention to establishing posture. And I don't consider this separate from the meditation. This is part of the meditation, is mindfulness. Also, it's good to take a couple of minutes at least to slowly sweep our attention from the top of the body right down to the fingertips and toes, just to slowly sweep our mindfulness and check for any unnecessary holding. And I stress the word unnecessary because obviously we need a certain amount of exertion, mild exertion, to keep the body upright. So just check. I suggest starting at the crown of the head, work our way across our face, neck, right down to the fingertips and through the torso, right down to the toes. Just check, slowly, place to place. And we'll do this for the next few minutes in silence. And letting go of any residual, unnecessary tension or exertion. like establishing the posture. This is meditation. This is developing mindfulness and developing that dynamic of letting go, releasing. If something is being unnecessarily held physically, we're releasing physically, and that's the same dynamic when we're holding something emotionally, mentally. And as letting go is our release into peaceful being, peaceful states. But now sitting quietly, now we've been a few minutes. We can say we're sitting still, but we can also feel the body pulsing, breathing, vibrating. And we can use, this evening we'll use the breath as what we often refer to as the object of meditation, or the primary object. So we can now narrow our field of attention to just the breath, the breathing process, using whatever part of our body we find the most simple and easy place to notice the breathing. So that might be the abdomen or the rib cage, chest. Could be something smaller like the nostrils or throat. And it's really whatever supports us as an individual. So for these next few minutes, we use our attention to focus on that, a gentle focus of just one breath at a time, mindful of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the breath. Coming in, mindful of the beginning, middle, and end of the breath going out. And always returning to the breath when the mind gets distracted and pulled away. One thing I find helpful myself is to not get caught up in forcing the mind and heart, our intellect and emotional world, to not force non-activity, not to try and shut everything down or squeeze or push things away, but to allow things to settle. We're putting the good elements in place by sitting calmly, placing our attention on something which is not exciting or particularly interesting in itself. It allows a calming atmosphere, and then let thinking possibly slow down, start to settle a little bit. Maybe the mind goes quiet, maybe not. Emotional states become maybe more obvious, and we can just allow them to be as they are. We don't need to annihilate or make an enemy out of thinking or having emotions. But we begin to become more in tune with present moment experience. So just if thoughts, when thoughts and feelings come up, just recognize them, and for the moment just leave them be and go back to using the breath as our primary object of meditation, and give space to thoughts and feelings. using meditation like this, for instance, is very often referred to as a calming, tranquilizing practice of tranquility. I find interesting that the word in our scriptures, samatha, samatha also has been translated into English as settling. Like I used a few minutes ago, the word settling. Often in meditation circles we hear the words calm and insight, translated as from the samatha, vipassana, calm and insight. And the way I've learned it, at least, is that calm is not enough for liberation, to really liberate ourselves from the habitual ways of reacting and responding to all the stimuli that come our way day and night. Calm is crucial and yet not enough. We need to develop the insight, vipassana, seeing clearly into the nature of reality. The nature of reality is everything changing. Buddha wanted us to really see, to investigate this, this reality of change, anicca. Not just intellectually, but really on a gut level, intuitively. And to see the unsatisfactory, the dukkha, unsatisfactory nature of all things. How things can be painful. And if they're grasped, then that pain is dukkha. The third of the characteristics of anatta, the not self, or the empty nature of all things. There's no essence, lasting, unchanging essence to us as people, to all things. There's no essence of a tree. There's just things have come together to form a tree, and then someday it's not going to be a tree. This is now a monastery. It didn't used to be a monastery. There's no essence of Chithurst Monastery, but causes and conditions have come together, and this is what it is right now. We're born, we're fed, and we have a body. It changes, it grows, gets old, and passes away. There's no essence of, well, for instance, me, ahimsako, there's no essence of ahimsako. It's just on a mundane level. Yes, Buddhist monk, British American, certain age, name ahimsako. No essence. So to see the not self nature of everything. And the penetration, full, complete understanding of this should lead to a non-grasping, non-clinging, non-craving. And with all of those things, not there, peace. We can operate freely within the world, everything that comes our way. But we use calm to see, to penetrate, to reflect on these realities. So we use meditation, use exercises, practices, calm, clarity, to see clearly and let go of whatever needs to be let go of and nurture the things that are wholesome and useful. So we'll go back into silence, steadying the heart and mind, settling, but keep a vigilant eye, a watchful eye at what the thoughts are telling us, what's our thinking mind telling us, and let go of what's not useful. we become more familiar with those three characteristics that I mentioned, unsatisfactoriness, empty of essence, impermanent. It doesn't mean that we just give up on everything. We still take care of what's worthy of being taken care of. Still nurture, cultivate, utilize the opportunities that we have. Here again, keeping wholesomeness is our kind of barometer in a way. We see what's worthy. If it's unwholesome, unhelpful, then we leave it aside and let it grow cold, let it fade away. Stay away from it. If something works for us in our meditation, nurture that, cultivate that. Always keeping in mind the Buddhist teachings, not to stray outside, accepted wholesome teachings, and just not making things up too radically that go outside of that, but be gently creative. Keeping it within the framework of the teachings. As we grow more familiar with these characteristics, let life flow. We can direct our lives in ways that are realistic. And as has been said for decades, learn also to go with the flow, and because we can only control so much, and do what we can. And develop the heart and mind that's not stuck in suffering. We can feel the different things in life, positive, negative, feel them with balance, equanimity. And lastly, to say that there was a reason we chanted the Noble Eightfold Path this evening. This is really core teaching of the Buddha. So when we can see that it's holistic, it's a whole practice, and meditation is a big part of that, but it's just a part of that. So really encourage us to become familiar with those core teachings, the reflective teachings. And to be applied, to be worked with, and developed, cultivated. And bhavana, to cultivate. Calm and insight. as mentioned at the beginning of the evening, being the lunar observance night. So our practice here is that on the new moon and full moon, we offer the opportunity for the lay community to request the refuges and 8 precepts. And if you have even mild interest in this, we do encourage it to put voice to this. So for those of you who wish to participate, obviously it's optional. It begins on page 131 in the dark brown volume. And the form, there's 3 different forms on this page. And so we'll use the first form. This is for a group from a monk, so it's the Mayang Bante Tisaranena Saha Attasilani Yachama. And after that, you do that on your own. After you do that, Dutiyampi Tatiyampi, and then you turn page, skip page 132, you go to the top of page 133, and I'll give more instruction. So, and those typically, traditionally, if people feel comfortable with it, traditionally begins with 3 bows, and then chanting in unison. So, anybody wishing to do this, begin when you're ready. Somebody who's feeling kind of confident can kind of take the lead. Anybody? Also, if nobody wants to do it, I'll just sit quietly. We can wrap up. That's the way it works. So, okay, good. A few people. So turn over to page 133, and I'll chant the Namo Tassa 3 times, and then you chant the Namo Tassa 3 times. This bit here we'll only do in the Pali language also. So Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So repeat after me line by line. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang nittitang. So now we'll go into the precepts themselves, and so we'll do, I'll do the Pali, you do Pali, I'll do the English, you do the English. And we'll go through the 8 precepts in that way. So, Bhanatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adinna dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. Brahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from any intentional sexual activity. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Sura meraya majapamadhatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from eating at inappropriate times. Nachagita vadita visukadasana malaganda vilepana dharana mandana vibhusanatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from entertainment, beautification, and adornment. Uchasayana mahasayana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place. Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Ye mani ata sikapadani silena sugantinyanti silena boga sampada silena nibuddhinyanti tassama silang visotaye. And maybe we noticed, some of us may have noticed that what we chanted earlier in the evening, the Noble Eightfold Path, that included the five precepts, most of them, right action, right speech, and then so it's all part of this holistic path. Is also using or developing a life which is not unwholesome, and to develop the wholesome. And the mind that is without regret, without remorse, without fear, will also be the mind and heart that settles more quickly. When we are in an opportunity to be in a calming, clarifying state. Once again, without fear, without regret, without remorse, without worry, we're going to see more clearly, see more deeply, and then the more clearly and deeply we see, the more we can penetrate seeing the three characteristics. So it's a whole knock-on effect. It's a whole package. And then with the 8 precepts, it also introduces quite strongly, actually, the renunciation. There's a renunciant aspect. And so only a few of those precepts have an ethical element to them. And because, as we know, eating at the inappropriate time is not evil. It's not unwholesome. Eating is just eating. Lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place is nothing immoral about that. Which, by the way, we usually translate that also as just not overindulging in sleep, not using sleep as an escape, just wasting time, resting more than we need to, lolling about. There's nothing immoral about entertainment, beautification, or adornment as such, in and of itself. Also, even celibacy, there's nothing immoral about, although some people might debate this, but nothing immoral about sexual activity. But in the 5 precepts, it's phrased as to abstain from sexual misconduct, and that is considered immoral. That's unethical, because we're using sexuality in ways that are harmful to others or ourselves, or both. Inappropriate. And so the 8 precepts, and even if we're just utilizing them, practicing them for a day and a night, the Buddha, compared that to living like the arahants live, living like the awakened beings, to live for just a day and a night, or for the day. And it's not. I would really suggest that we don't let our mind think that, that's just for a day, or just for a week, or just for a winter retreat. But it's a powerful practice if we use it the way it was meant to be used. Adding in, as of course, the ethical conduct, we always encourage to develop that, cultivate that every day, and to learn from our mistakes, use them as these reminders. Oh, right, we have a framework of conduct, and then if we stray outside that framework, then that's noticing that here again through mindfulness, through calm and clarity. We see what we've done, and determine not to do it again. Not in a harsh way, not beat ourselves up and I'll never do that. But no, really, I should really try harder to not do that again. It's painful. The results are painful for me, painful for others maybe, painful for both. And then the 8 precepts, if we are practicing with them occasionally, or those of us who have made a dedicating our lives to living with renunciant precepts, and that gives us, something also we will bump up against, and our desire, things that are not unethical, not necessarily unwholesome, quite normal things that all of a sudden you can't do. And then we can see desire. And so, as one of our dear teachers says, we learn to like what we get instead of get what we like. Oh, I like that, I want that. And if we don't have any limits, we just keep seeking and getting or trying to get. And sometimes we're successful, and a lot of times we're not, and we're discontented. And so if we can just learn to like what's available, that's wholesome, which is allowable. And so, even that thought for a lot of us of not eating, from noon until dawn the next day is. And for some people that wouldn't necessarily be healthy. I'm not saying that, because especially we're not used to it. Maybe we each have different bodily needs, but for most of us it's okay, it's fine. But even just the thought of, what do you mean no dinner? When people, sometimes you meet somebody new to this tradition and they ask about how we live and what are some of your rules, and when you mention about not eating, and they're like, "Oh, no way." So even the thought about it, or the thought about not, listening to some music or going singing and dancing or beautifying ourselves, just that very thought can bring up suffering in some of us. So we can use these, and it's not that we shouldn't. It's not that if we are feeling that we should beat ourselves up or feel a failure. We should feel glad that we see. That's what using opportunities like coming to a community like this or using the precepts, both. It's this opportunity, and if we see, oh wow, I'm really attached to eating when I want, eating what I want, I mean, it's amazing what everybody prepares here, the meals that are prepared, just a variety, and we don't shop. This food just rolls in, it's amazing. But our cooks, they don't have like a menu. They can go, today's Tuesday is pizza day or something, and here are the ingredients. They just have to go in the larder in the morning and, all right, okay, what's there? And so for those of us who are used to eating what we want all the time, that can be challenging. So it's good to have those challenges, and then we can see if there's any attachment. And it's such a harmless thing too, eating, as long as we're eating things that weren't acquired in an unwholesome way. Bumping up against desire, bumping up against seeing our craving, seeing the things that maybe support us, our sense of well-being, and realizing that, do I really want my life to be led by my stomach and by my foodie tendencies? Yeah, and if it's delicious, it's delicious. And if it's not delicious, it's still nutritious. And not base our well-being on singing and dancing and eating and sleeping a lot. So these all have a hugely practical stroke spiritual benefit. Live more freely, live more at ease, and we're letting go. And so the precepts are really, they're not just some sort of kind of trying to live inside a box. No, this is a framework for awakening. It's a massive part of the awakening process. It's not kind of just an aside oh no, meditation is where it's at, or studying the scriptures, or listening to Dhamma. It's here again, the Noble Eightfold Path. It's this whole. It encompasses every aspect of the human experience. Fits within, underneath that umbrella, our spiritual practice. So yeah, I really encourage all of us in our various ways, whatever form we're living, whether we're a nun or a monk or novice, anagark, layperson, to really think about this. And I know I've used this word a lot tonight, this word holistic. So I do apologize. Might be overusing it, over-egging it, but really to contemplate this multifaceted aspect of the Buddha Dhamma and of life, and so that we really cover all the different angles, and not just one-sided, not just ethical conduct, or not just meditation, not just study, but really using all the different factors to really develop these in tandem. Not just develop one and then, well, later on I'll deal with that. No, really, the Noble Eightfold Path is not linear. It's not linear. Really try and cultivate, and so that they're all the different facets are coming up together. So finish that as a reflection, and then so I'll invite Tana Nejo to lead us in a closing chant before we do the closing homage. So I can pass you back the...
So we can finish on page 41 in the dark brown book, Reflection on Universal Well-Being in English. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. So we can do the closing homage in English on page 29. The Lord
greatly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.